Awesome. So let's go ahead and a bit here. Like we're already playing. We're already playing. Like my shoulders are shaking here. You told me before we came on here that there was something that you really wanted to express, and joy for me is all about unabashed, unapologetic expression. So
Yeah.
please, in the joyful way that is you, please share your joy with us.
Okay. So this morning I was journaling and thinking about the day ahead and knowing that this conversation was coming up. And yesterday we said that we're going to talk about burnout today. And I actually wrote, we're going to talk about burnout today, which is a place that is the furthest from joy. It's in the land of shame, I wrote, of mental and physical limitations. And it's the antithesis of abundance, which is where we started yesterday. Abundance. I said I wanted to create abundance. And I wrote this because I was thinking world joy movement and joy and where does this fit in, and you introduced it beautifully as well. How we are all on a journey, and it's being in joy is is a beautiful place to be, and we're not always there. and
I
and
think
that's the life, that's the journey.
thank you for bringing that in. Like, I think there's elements here that I get curious immediately about, um, and I think that this would be a good place for us to just kind of play out. We'll talk about burnout, if that's really real. What I love to look at is what is the stories that are around it, right? Is there a space where burnout and joy do live? I'm not necessarily sure that they can't live in the same way. And that feels pretty radical. I'm not saying that I know the answer to of that there, but like perhaps the greatest insight of this conversation is that the definition that you just put out there doesn't need to be true.
Mm.
And I say that very because I could feel the energy in which it was held from my standpoint, and receiving that there. That's the first time I'm hearing it. um it's like, by the way, we're going to be talking about this thing called burnout, and it's a bad thing, and it doesn't really necessarily work with joy, but we need to talk about it because so just know that it's okay, even though it's not really joyful. And I'm like, ooh, this is it could be true. It may be generally speaking, as I'm walking down the street, that's where I would naturally go with things. And I think as we're in this space of co-creation and being whole, part of it here is the wholeness of like what it's the ability to look at things from different perspectives. And so you've already given me an insight into the way that you see your world. And that's incredibly important, especially as we're a movement of uplifting the world, and uplifting the world often involves uplifting individual people or the way that they see the world. So now I'm getting a chance to see like where are we starting from with you here. So thank you for bringing that into the space here. Um, I invite you. I invite you to us being open to a definition of both burnout and joy that is even more expansive than that, without knowing if like we might get to the end and be like, no, 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 it was really good. Like we captured it
It was
perfectly.
good.
It was chef's kiss, as they say, right? It was chef's kiss.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that you put it in here, because I think it gives us a chance to see and slow down a little bit and see like, okay, what's going on there. I'll also say this here, and I think the other thing that's really interesting here was, how do I say it? So you framed the conversation really nicely. And there's also another part of it in the back of my mind. I was like, oh, it feels like, well, let me just ask you, there was an element that felt like, okay, I'm going to protect the person who's coming into this space to watch this in some future day, because we're going to talk about something that is not that and there was something in there I really respect you for being someone that's like, I'm going to own this space and create this space and set the frame, and like we were already in co-creation. I really respect you for that. And there was a part of me that was like, oh, I wonder why that was really important to say. So like let's start with that here as we go down.
Yeah, I would love to answer
let's
that.
Start.
That was really good that you captured that, because maybe the word is protect. The word that popped up for me now was acknowledge. I wrote that to acknowledge something. And what I was acknowledging was something that you said yesterday, where you were saying, oh yeah, you mentioned burnout, and then it's woo, woo. And it's like, oh, Philippa has learned how to talk about her burnout, and she does it so well that she moves on smoothly, quickly, as though we're talking about the blue sky and the sunshine of this particular day, the weather. And it's not real. It's not, and you picked up on that, and so let's give it the space that in actual fact, not it deserves, that's the wrong word, but a space that I'm not giving it. And that could be the protection side. And I wrote this morning, and I was nervous about our conversation today in a way that I am not normally nervous about having a conversation with you and knowing it's being recorded and, going out there in the world. I love to share my processes and my vulnerability and being human with the world together with you. I believe that inspires other people. It was a acknowledgement of my nerves, of this is, you really nailed it yesterday. This is important for me to talk about. This is where there is something hiding, I'm hiding or protecting myself, or whatever the word is. This really means something to me. And so I then wrote down that sentence, because I'm thinking, how does this fit into the World Joy movement? And realizing it's beautiful. For me, it was beautiful. It was like, wow, we're for me, I often say to myself, we have to be sad in order to know when we're going to be happy, or when we're happy, not going to be, when we're happy. And it was almost like, oh, to know joy, then there is that opposite. There is that feeling, that abyss, that just in much the same way there's that height, that amazing, oh my God, I'm up in the clouds somewhere, joy. That expansiveness and the constriction, the contraction, the smallness of burnout, the containment of it, and the freedom of joy. They cannot be without one another. It is, and because because you were saying that, some of the stuff I was going, it was like, have I felt more joy since crashing so spectacularly? And I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely live more intentionally. And I've gone on this journey of self-leadership, of learning how to set up my boundaries, of self-management. And it was a journey I was always half interested in, but it became like a mission. It became like, this is important. And this is not only important for me, but it's important for the world, so that I can go on this journey and then share that with others.
Yeah. Thank you, Philippa. And I want to acknowledge that there was just like some video things going on my screen. So hopefully I didn't throw you off too much.
It's the World Joy Movement. Yeah.
What was your greatest insight from this conversation? And if you want to come and be a part of a conversation like this live, it's really simple. Just go to beworldjoy.com and come introduce yourself, and let's take the conversation to the next level, because you're there now.
All right, let's play.